Hi guys, welcome to this video on the quadratic formula. So today's video, we are going to be learning to use the quadratic formula to find the roots of a quadratic equation, because this method always works, no matter what. And finding the roots of a quadratic formula, quadratic equation is very important. And you'll know you're successful when you can use the quadratic formula to find the roots of a quadratic equation. So basically, the quadratic formula says that we can solve any equation in the form of a times x squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Okay, and we can use the quadratic formula here. X is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2 times a. So, example. Solve x squared plus x minus 4 equals 0. So here's what's going to happen. I need to just make sure that one side of the equation equals 0, and it does. So I'm good. What I also then need to do is make a note of what a is. A is 1, since there is a 1 out front. B also happens to be 1. And c is equal to negative 4. Okay, so I'm going to do a couple of things. The quadratic formula that I had, okay, had a bunch of different things in it. It had a, it had b, negative b, 2a, 4ac. So I'm going to just calculate those things right away, okay? So calculating the value of 2 times a, well, 2 times 1 here is 2. Negative b, so the opposite of b, just going to do it for completeness sake, is negative 1. And 4ac is going to be this times 4. So 1 times 4 times negative 4 is negative 16. So I want a, or 2a, b, negative b, and 4ac. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use all of these things here, these 6 things, to find the quadratic formula, or to find the values for my quadratic formula. So x is equal to, okay, so it's negative b, so negative 1, plus or minus. We need to consider both the positive and the negative version of, so my square root here is going to be b squared, so 1 squared. Oh, I'm also going to, so 1 squared, take away this value right here. Take away 4ac minus, and it's negative 16, so I'm going to use a parenthesis here just to represent that it's the double subtraction. All divided by 2a, which is 2. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to simplify what's underneath the parenthesis, or underneath the square root first. 1 squared is 1. 1 take away negative 16 is positive 17. So I get the positive square root is positive 17 under the square root symbol. And I have 2 here, all right? So x is going to be equal to negative 1 plus or minus square root of 17 over 2. Now, I'm going to go further, and here's how. Okay, I'm not actually going to do negative 1 divided by 2. I can't do that. And I can't actually take the square root of 17. Okay, so we're going to leave it as a complex number. So, we're going to do it like this. X is equal to, no, that didn't look so good. There we go. X is equal to, okay, we're going to do negative 1 plus the square root of 17. Oh, my plus sign looked a little bad there. Plus 7, the square root of 17 over 2. And then I'm going to do x is equal to, so I have to do the negative version, -1 minus the square root of 17 over 2. And there's an or between the two of them, and that's my two answers, okay? So here are the two answers for this quadratic function. -1 plus the square root of 17 over 2, or -1 minus the square root of 17 over 2. Okay, so to do the quadratic formula, okay, we have to ensure that one side equals 0. So what we're going to have to do first is make sure we take this 4 and subtract it to the other side. So when I do, I get x squared minus 3x minus 4 equals 0. So now I'm going to go ahead and fill out everything here, okay? That a, b, c, 2a, negative b, b squared, and 2ac. So a is 1, b is -3, c is -4. And now we're going to go ahead and we're just going to start calculating stuff down the line. 2a is equal to 2. Negative b is equal to, so the opposite of -3 would be +3. B squared. So b, -3 times -3 is +9. And 4ac. So 1 times -4 is -4 times 4 again is going to be another -16. So let's fill in our quadratic formula using all these values. Okay, so x is going to be equal to the opposite of b, 3 plus or minus, because we don't know yet. It's got to be both. The square root of, okay, so b squared is 9. Take away -16. I don't like that 6. All divided by 2a, which is 2. Okay, so when I do 9 take away -16, I get 25 under the square root symbol. And then I'm carrying everything down, so 3 plus or minus the square root of 25 over 2. And we still have x equals out front. Okay, so when I go ahead and solve this, okay, the square root of 25 is 5. So what I end up with is x is equal to 3 plus or minus the square root of 25, which is 5 over 2. So now go ahead and solve. So x is equal to, so 3, we have to split it into the two different possibilities, okay? So one possibility is that we're going to do 3 plus 5 over 2, or we do the negative version of 3 minus 5 over 2. So 3 plus 5 is 8. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Or x is going to be equal to 3 minus 5 is -2. -2 divided by 2 is -1. So those are my two solutions. X equals 4 or x equals -1. So solve x squared minus 4 equals 0. Okay, so we don't have a middle term, okay? So there's multiple ways to approach this problem, okay? You can definitely try to factor it. You can definitely try to do a whole ton of other things. You can add 4 to both sides, take the square root, but for these purposes, okay, we're going to solve it using the quadratic formula. So let's write out everything. So A, B, C, 2A, negative b squared, and 4ac. Okay, so let's go down the line. A is 1, b is 0, and c is negative 4 again. So 2a is 2, negative b is 0, 0 squared is 0, and 4ac is negative 16. So let's fill out our quadratic formula. X is equal to, all right, X, my goodness, X is equal to 0 plus or minus the square root of 0 take away negative 16 over 2. So I'm going to simplify what's underneath that square root symbol. I get 0 plus or minus, so this happens to be 0 take away 16 again, so that would be 0 take away negative 16, excuse me, so that would be 16 over 2. So x is going to equal 0 plus or minus 4 over 2. So it's going to split into those two options. So we get 0 plus 4 over 2, or 0 minus 4 over 2. So 0 plus 4 is 4. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. So x is equal to positive 2. Or 0 minus 4 is negative 4 over 2. So we would get x is equal to negative 2. So two possibilities. All right? Just remember that you always have to do a positive and you always have to do a negative version. So there are our two solutions. All right. Well, I'm still going to show you how to do this, okay? In class, we're going to try this one on our own. But here, what we're going to do is, again, do the quadratic formula. Oh, I don't want it to be so big. So the 8 things, or the 7 things, you know, A equals, B equals, C equals, and then we also are going to do 2A, negative B, B to the second, and 4AC. So we're going to fill these all in with information. So hang on, I'm going to switch back to my marker really quick. So this is B to the second power, B squared. Okay, so A is 1, B is 5, and C is 6. So we get 2 times A is 2 still. Negative B is negative 5. And B squared is 25. 1 times 6 times 4, so 1 times 6 is 6 times 4 is 24. Alright, so I have all the information I need to put together my quadratic formula. So we'll do x is equal to, I don't like the equals part. X is equal to negative 5, so negative b, plus or minus the square root of 25, take away 24. I had a brain fart there for a second. Divided by 2. So, I'm going to simplify what's in the underneath the square root symbol. So negative 5 plus or minus the square root of, so 25 minus 24 is a solid, so I don't even need, oh, I didn't mean to go back. Well, I guess we're going to stick with it. So over 1 divided by 2. So negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 1 over 2. So the square root of 1 is 1. So we're just going to simplify it. So what ends up happening here is I get x is equal to negative 5 plus or minus 1 over 2. So that's going to split, okay, into my two answers, okay? So I get negative 5 plus 1 over 2. And then I get negative 5 take away 1 over 2. So I've got my or here. Okay. Negative 5 plus 1 is negative 4. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. So x is going to be equal to negative 2. Or over here, negative 5 take away 1 is negative 6. Negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. So my two answers are x is equal to negative 2 or x is equal to negative 3. And that's it, guys. So thanks for watching today's lesson, and good luck on the homework. See you in the next video.